He walked into the restaurant already checking his watch, sighing with the kind of exhaustion that comes from too many disappointments. The plan was simple, 5 minutes. He'd smile politely, sip his coffee, make an excuse, and leave. But what he didn't know was that this would be the night everything changed. Because one laugh, one warm, genuine, unforgettable laugh, was about to make a powerful CEO stay for a lifetime. Before we dive into this heart-touching story about fate, love, and the magic of unexpected moments, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Hopeful Stories, where every story reminds you that miracles can begin in the most ordinary places. Ethan Cole was not a man who believed in destiny. The 35-year-old CEO of Cole Dynamics had built his empire on logic, precision, and control. Every minute of his day was scheduled, every decision measured. Love to him was just another deal, something neat, predictable, transactional. But that belief had left him lonelier than ever. After a string of failed relationships, his sister, Grace, had begged him to go on one last blind date. "Come on, Ethan," she'd said over the phone. "You work too much. Just one evening. She's kind, funny, and real. No business talk, no pressure, just a conversation." He'd laughed bitterly. 5 minutes, Grace? That's all she'll get? And that's exactly what he told himself as he stepped into the small, candlelit restaurant on a Friday night. It wasn't his kind of place. Too cozy, too sentimental. Couples filled every corner, whispering over wine. He adjusted his cufflinks, checked his phone, and sighed. Then he saw her. Sitting by the window was a woman in a simple blue dress, nervously twirling a strand of hair. She looked up and smiled. Not the polished smile he was used to from boardrooms or banquets, but something warm, genuine, almost shy. Her name was Lila Bennett, and from the moment their eyes met, Ethan felt something stir, a strange calmness he couldn't explain. "Hi," she said softly as he approached. "You must be Ethan. I was starting to think you wouldn't show up." "I almost didn't," he admitted, pulling out his chair. "I don't usually do blind dates." "Good," she said, grinning. "Neither do I. We can suffer together." Her wit caught him off guard. And then, as the waiter poured their drinks, she laughed. Light, melodic, utterly unforced. Something about that sound broke through his guarded composure. It wasn't loud or dramatic, it was real. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then 30. They talked about everything, the universe, childhood dreams, and why Lila believed coffee was a liquid hug for the soul. She told him about her job as a children's art teacher, how she spent her weekends painting murals in hospitals to make sick kids smile. Ethan listened, captivated. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about profit margins or stock reports. He was just there. When she asked about him, he hesitated. "I run a company," he said vaguely, expecting the usual impressed reaction. But Lila only smiled. "Sounds stressful?" she said. "You should paint something. It helps." He laughed, a genuine, unguarded laugh he hadn't heard from himself in ages. By the time the restaurant lights dimmed and the night deepened, Ethan realized something incredible. He didn't want to leave. What was supposed to be 5 minutes had turned into 3 hours. And when they finally stood to go, she looked at him and said, "Thank you for not leaving early." He smiled. "Thank you for making me stay." That night as he drove home, Ethan couldn't stop replaying her laughter in his mind. It wasn't just the sound. It was what it made him feel. Alive. Human. Hopeful. He didn't know then that this woman, this ordinary art teacher, would soon teach him the most extraordinary lesson of his life. That love isn't found in perfect plans, but in the moments that break them apart. If you're already feeling the magic of this unexpected love story, hit that like button and subscribe to Hopeful Stories, because Chapter 2 will show how one laugh can change 2 lives forever. A week later, Ethan found himself standing outside the same little cafe where they'd first met. He had told himself it was just coffee, just another meeting, but his heart knew better. When Lila arrived, with her paint-smeared bag and bright eyes, he felt that strange warmth again, like the world slowed down just to let her in. They talked for hours. about dreams, regrets, and what it meant to truly live. Lila told him how she'd once wanted to open an art school for underprivileged kids, but couldn't afford it. Ethan listened, something inside him stirring again, not pity, but admiration. She wasn't chasing money or status. She was chasing purpose. Days turned into weeks, and soon Ethan was rearranging board meetings just to see her. His staff noticed the change. The once distant, stoic CEO now smiled more, laughed more. He even kept a small paintbrush on his desk, a quiet reminder of her world. But just when everything seemed perfect, life threw its cruel test. One evening, Lila didn't show up for their dinner. Hours passed and she didn't answer her phone. Ethan's chest tightened with a fear he couldn't name. Finally, a call came from the hospital. There'd been an accident. He rushed there, heart pounding. When he entered her room, she was sitting up, her arm in a sling but smiling weakly. "I'm fine," she whispered. "Just a little scare." Ethan held her hand, eyes glistening. "Don't ever do that again," he breathed. "I thought—" She silenced him with a soft laugh. "You thought you could only stay 5 minutes?" That laugh, gentle even through pain, broke him. He realized then that love wasn't about timing, plans, or perfection. It was about choice, the choice to stay. Months passed, and their bond only deepened. One morning, Ethan took Lila to a quiet park where children painted on walls, a new community art project he had secretly funded in her name. As she read the sign, Lila's Colors of Hope Foundation, tears filled her eyes. "You did this?" she whispered. He smiled. "No, we did this. You taught me how." Years later, that same laughter would still echo through their home, through every moment of joy they built together. And every time Ethan looked at her, he'd think back to that night, the one he almost walked away from, and silently thank the universe for one simple miracle: her laugh. Because sometimes, love doesn't begin with fireworks or fate. It begins with something small, something human, like a laugh that makes you stay when you plan to leave. If this story warmed your heart and reminded you that love often finds us when we least expect it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Hopeful Stories for more tales that prove hope and love are always closer than we think.